it's Claire, emotional wellbeing coach and mindfulness teacher. And today I'm going to talk to you about having difficult conversations when you have a tendency to people please. So when you people please, it's really difficult to put your own needs before other people's needs. And quite often when you have a conversation with somebody who likes to push your boundaries, then it ends up that you end up saying yes rather than no. And you might come away from those conversations, feeling annoyed with yourself and frustrated and, feeling even more depleted because you've given into something that you didn't really want to do. So if this is you, I'm going to give you a few tips. So the first tip is to think about getting into a state, a way of being that helps you embody that feeling of strength, of assertiveness, of being in control. So think about a time in your life when you felt strong, when you felt quite assertive, when you felt like you really had to stick up for you or someone else. And think about how you came into that situation. What was your posture like? What were your shoulders doing? How were you carrying yourself? So think about that and spend a few minutes beforehand getting into that posture. And there's a great TED talk by a lady called Amy Cuddy who talks about the power pose and how effective that is for getting into that state, that confident state before doing things like this that make us feel uncomfortable. And if you can't think of a time in your life where you did feel like that, then try to model someone else who you see in their interactions being quite assertive, but still warm or kind, getting that nice balance. And just imagine that you're them, you're in their body, you're going to approach the conversation from their perspective. So that's getting us into the right kind of physiological state to have that conversation. The second tip is to think about what you really want to get out of the conversation. So it could be that your family, your mum or your mother-in-law want you to come over for the 5th Christmas in a row on Christmas Day, and that's not something you want to do. You want to spend it at home this year. And think about that outcome, write it down, and keep that at the centre of the conversation. So when they're trying to push your boundaries, when they're trying to persuade you that, oh, you really should come over, just keep that at the heart of your conversation. Keep pulling yourself back to it, because what will happen is there'll be a tendency to pull us away from that, but keep coming back to it. And it doesn't mean you're being unkind. It doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means that you're sticking to your needs, and you can still be warm, you can still be kind. But for that particular need, you're putting that first for you and perhaps your immediate family, but you're putting it first. So try to keep that at the centre of the conversation, and writing it down does help. And you could always have it, to the side if you're on the telephone or whatever. And then the third tip, and it might take you some time to work through these tips, a bit of practice, and you might not want to use them all at the same time because it might feel like, oh, I'll never remember to do all of that. But the third tip is around language. So in a past life, I used to do some negotiation, and we were always taught to avoid using soft words. And soft words are words like just or might or quite. And you can see that those words give the impression of not really meaning what you're saying. The door is open for some negotiation. And I'm not saying don't negotiate, because you might want to compromise on something, but let it be your choice, and let your language be firm if that's what you want to do. If you want to achieve your outcome, then let your language be firm. And these things never happen overnight, or rarely happen overnight. So practice speaking into your mobile. You can record yourself, practice having that conversation. And, you could even get somebody to role play being that other person. I do that quite a lot with my clients. So I really hope that's helpful. I'm Claire, and I'm an emotional wellbeing coach and mindfulness teacher, and I help people maneuver through difficult circumstances, navigate crossroads, and untie all of the knots in their mind so they can move forward with clarity, with courage, with confidence. I hope that's helpful. Take care.